Okay.
Brittany, who's the third? Oh, okay, gotcha. Now I see it. Yep, right. So Luke, just to let you know, we can just see a really good image of your eyes and your nose, and just a little bit of your mustache sometimes.
Oh.
Yes, you may want to hold it further back.
Yeah, back away from it. There, that's getting better. A little more. That's good.
Okay.
You do that for the next 2 hours?
I'll be in a car, so you'll see part of it. It'll be shaking a little bit.
Ah, okay.
Are you still on your way back from Quebec City?
I'm in Quebec City now, but we're driving out now. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, everybody, we are now live, so I will call this meeting to order. It is 10:04 a.m. Our first order of business for the 2022 through to 2026 Council Remuneration Committee is election of a chair and vice chair. Member O'Hagan Todd is unable to join us today, however, does recognize we will be electing a chair and a vice chair. So at this time, I would open nominations for the position of chair.
Did Catherine agree to serve as chair or vice chair if she was elected? No? Okay, that's fine. So that it's between the three of us. I'm content to just sit back, and I chaired an awful lot, so I'm quite happy to just follow along. So either one of you two want to do it, go for it.
So I was going to suggest, Anne, that you take it on because you've actually been on the committee before and you know what you're doing. So kind of right back at you.
Well, actually, that's one of the things I was going to say to Catherine too. I was going to say, Catherine, you've done this before, so go ahead. So, Luke, what are your thoughts?
I would support. Well, I will be traveling over the next few months, so I will be. I just want to make. That's not a cop out, but it is. It will be juggling a little bit in terms of times, depending on how many meetings are required. So I would also support that either you or Catherine will take it on then.
Okay, since Catherine isn't here to accept or decline it, then I'll take on chair. And Elise, how about doing vice chair?
Sure, I'm fine with that.
Because Luke, as he mentioned, he's going to be traveling, but we never had occasion to make use of our vice chair last time, so it won't be too onerous. But thank you for that. So there we go. Brittany?
Thanks to both.
Perfect. So if we may just formalize the appointments, I will read a motion to the effect of the appointments we've just discussed. So that member Ann Dooman be appointed chair of the 2022 through to 2026 Council Remuneration Committee, and that member Ann Schneider be appointed vice chair of the same. Now, recognizing that there is a slight conflict in voting for yourselves. However, do we have a mover or a seconder to that effect?
I can move it.
And I can second it. And Brittany, my understanding of governance is that if there is no conflict, if there's no remuneration or benefit to accrue to the officers that are being elected, so we can go for it.
Okay, and all in favor?
Right.
Thank you very much. And at this point, Madam Chair, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, so we do have an agenda. And I would ask then for, I work by consensus, and Brittany, I'm assuming that you will allow us to do that. So in many cases, I'll just ask for consensus. So, and Elise is happy with that too, and I hope you are, Luke. So by consensus, unless hearing otherwise, we will approve the agenda without any additions to it. Okay, item number 4 is the declaration of pecuniary interest. Is there any conflict or pecuniary interest to be declared? None being done. Delegations, Brittany, do we have any delegates to this meeting? Thank you. We'll move on then. We have no correspondence at this time. Staff reports. So we're going to, though, talk about some of the things that we need to do and need to start doing, and perhaps in your own review of the material that was sent to you, you're going to come up with some things that you'd like to see added as far as documentation goes. Or Brittany, have you done that already? Have you given some thought to what you'd like to distribute to the members?
Yes, so if we, so we can just skip then to new business, Madam Chair, and we can discuss remuneration policy and the mandate.
Yep, go ahead then.
Thank you. So I have included a few materials for your reference. The purpose of this meeting is to simply introduce yourselves to the other committee members, as well as become acclimatized with what your role on this committee will look like. So we have included the remuneration policy that was created for the 2018 through to the 2022 period of council. And as formally discussed, Chair Dooman and Member O'Hagan Todd were present on that committee, therefore bring experience in this role and therefore can be a good resource for our newer members. So as is required, at the end of each term of council, there is a required review of the remuneration policies for each term of council, which is why we are here today. So this committee has been created to facilitate that creation of remuneration policies. Now, the 2018 through to the 2022 remuneration policy, as I said, has been attached and is available for your review as a point of reference to commence creating the new remuneration policy. Earlier this year, being 2021, we did facilitate an amendment to that policy that has also been included on this agenda. The only amendment, again, there's that one amendment in 2021, was regarding council or conference and seminar attendance for council and committee members. So instead of limiting the amount of conferences and seminars each counselor or a member of a committee can attend each year, we've allotted a budgeted amount to each individual. So therefore, council members can attend as many conferences and seminars as they wish, up to that allotted amount of $3,000 annually. We've provided a little bit more flexibility to our members, and given that due to the COVID-19 pandemic, some have moved virtually, they have therefore decreased their prices. So council has more flexibility in how many conferences and seminars they can attend in 1 year. So if at this time there's any questions regarding the structure of the policy or how we created the 2018 through to 2022 policy, I'm here to answer them. Otherwise, I can move forward with the mandate and what this committee is expected to facilitate to that regard. And you are muted. Sorry, Vice Chair Dooman, you are muted.
Sorry, I spend a lot of time on Zoom, so in a lot of meetings, so I do mute myself. I have two noisy dogs that sometimes come crashing through too, so sorry about that. So do either one of you, does anything arise at the moment that says to you that there's a particular piece of information you want us to deal with now, or that it's sort of popping up to you saying, I need to know more about this? Because there is a document that I would support us being circulated that I think will provide more background, but I'll ask you if there's anything come up at this time. No? Okay. Now, the document that I'm referring to, Brittany, is the final report that we sent to Council on September the 5th, which has a lot of what we did. And I'm asking that you would circulate that. Because we did an awful lot of work last time, because it had been a while, well, it had been at least 4 years since it had been done before, and we contemplated considerable changes to the policy. So I think that has a lot of information. For example, we narrowed it down to the number of comparatives that we were going to make for ourselves, which was good. At one time, we had a scope that was very large, and you know, used data too that came from the Association of Municipalities in Ontario. Then we ended up narrowing it down to just 4 in the area municipalities, which were Grey Highlands, Town of Meaford, West Grey and the town of South Bruce Peninsula, and we said those are our comparatives that we'll work on. So Brittany, would you agree that that would be something that would be circulated? Okay, so I'll ask you to do that, and then you go ahead and let us know. You wanted to talk about the mandate, so.
Thank you. And yes, so absolutely, I can circulate that for the committee's review. Agreed, Chair Dooman, thank you for the recommendation. I think that's a worthwhile document. And in regards to the comparator municipalities and the document that we created in the last term of this committee that, outlined exactly who was paying what and how they were paying it, we are working on a similar document to that effect, updated for this round of the committee. We will circulate that and have it available for the next meeting of this committee. So the next meeting will kind of get into the quote unquote meat and potatoes of the remuneration policies and give you kind of a jumping off point as to commencing work on our updated policy within the township. So with that being said, that kind of translates us into our mandate discussion. So again, this committee has been created to create the council remuneration policy for the next term of council. Now, the documents that I just referenced, being the comparator documents, will greatly assist you in starting to create the remuneration policies that you will recommend to council. In creating this policy, our council has requested personal interviews with this committee, not as a general council, but specifically with each individual members to discuss what is difficult, what's working, what needs changed, etc. So the way I envision this playing out is September will be kind of our gathering information, reviewing the information, interviews with council, and then October will be putting pen to paper and recommending the remuneration for the 2022 through to 2026 term of council. So as included in the mandate and the term of reference I've attached to this agenda, I am recommending that we aim to have a final policy finalized and presented to council by the end of October. Now, I recognize that that is quite an ambitious goal, so I have set the term of this committee through to December 31st, should we need additional time outside of the October 31st kind of deadline. So if we move into November, that's fine. We just have to be done by opening of nominations next year, which doesn't happen until May 2022. Now, with that being said, I don't want us to be still working on this in May of 2022, but we have some flexibility should we need it, as I know this is a large undertaking. So that's kind of my brief blurb. I would encourage this committee to come into this project with, an open mind and creative thinking. Our treasurer, Cassandra Rocca, will be with us at our next meeting to review the administration side of how we currently process payments for our council and committee members and outline things that may streamline efficiencies internally and how we can look at identifying those problems and fixing them for 2022 through to 2026. So at that point, I would welcome any questions of the committee.
Annalise or Luke?
This is Luke. No, that sounds all very solid. It's very grateful to see that there is so much experience that's gone into this, and time frame sounds very well. Depending on the, my question was indeed in terms of how many meetings would we have and the workload required, but in terms of reference, we're quite clear. So that sounds good to me.
Okay, Annalise, you okay?
I'm good. Thank you.
When Cassandra comes, whether it be at the first meeting that she's at or the other, can we have some comparison from budget for council expenses to actual for the last maybe 2 years? And also, could we ensure that we understand what the cost of living increases have been? I saw something the other day that said 3.7. I didn't look to see whose was on it. And also, if anything comes from AMCO, if they're doing anything, the Association of Municipalities, if they're doing anything or talking about this, it'd be interesting to know too. And that's it from my requirements.
I have one more point.
Go ahead.
what would be important to me is, and that's probably for a later discussion, but it's about the intent of the remuneration. And I saw in the bylaw that one of the objectives was to attract qualified councillors. And I don't know how you've done it in the past, but it would be important to me to verify somehow if some qualified individuals, or maybe it's the other way around, but it's just to see to what extent this is actually an adequate system, and the amounts are adequate enough to attract the quality of councillors that we're looking for, because that's ultimately the intent. And it would be unfortunate if a number of people would say, I would really like to do this, I'd like to put the time into this. Over the last year, I've gained a lot more appreciation for the work that's involved if you want to prepare all the meetings. And I would hate to see that remuneration is a detractor, or kind of leads us to miss out on some people that really would be important to have on it. And I don't know really what that means in practice and how we would assess that, but it would be something at least that would be important to me to keep in the back of our minds.
Well, I appreciate that you brought that up, because it was something that we dealt with last time. And one of the advantages of inviting the councillors to petition us is we will ensure that we ask them to address that, because they, of course, there's only 2 new councillors. Am I right, Brittany? Yeah, from the last election, but it would be very interesting to hear their views on it. It was very interesting, for example, last time, I believe it was Paul, was it not, Brittany? If you listen to my story, you'll know. Paul told us that he ran and didn't know he was going to get paid. And he ran successfully, but he's local. He was born in Sarawak, I think it was, and he was determined that he was going to be on council, and he was going to contribute. And he was quite surprised that they were actually going to pay him too. No, he was the exception. I think I'm certain everyone else is quite aware of the fact that there is remuneration, but it's a challenge too. I'm sure that some of the other work you might do, that you'll find that. I work in the university sector, and I've worked in not-for-profits who are government agencies, Ontario government agencies, and we've had wage freezes for years now. And trying to be competitive with other jurisdictions is very difficult. So it's the same scenario that we'll look at then. And like I say, the councillors, I'm sure, will advise us. Again, the association always has a lot. I don't know if they've put out a report on compensation lately, but there was a report that we had reference to, which went back a few years, didn't we? Maybe we can enclose that too, and we'll see some comments on that. So. Go ahead, Luke, you're mute right now.
No, apologies. I was just I was just asking my family members to put their phone to charge their phones, because I think we're going to need the phones in an hour. Sorry about that.
No, not a problem at all. Not a problem at all. So, Brittany, have we got some thoughts about a meeting date, subsequent meeting date?
Yes, so I think at least at this point, we should plan to meet on a bi-weekly basis, likely minimally, just in order to meet our timelines of October 31st. If we find that bi-weekly is too much, then we can certainly scale it back. But I think for now, we should intend to meet bi-weekly. So that would leave us with our next meeting in the first week of September. I would like to recommend September 2nd. That's a Thursday.
Would you excuse me for a moment, please? We seem to have lost car keys in this house.
No problem. Member Schneider and Luke, I apologize. Can you clarify how to say your last name so I don't?
Zandvliet. It's all fine. It's all good.
Thank you. Do you have a preference, or are you available on September 2nd? Either.
I will make it work. I'll be in the field. I will call in from wherever I am.
Thank you. And Member Schneider?
I think I can make that work. Are you looking at 10 o'clock, Brittany?
Depending on the wishes of this committee, if 10 a.m. works, great. If we need to do it earlier or later to accommodate schedules, I'm also okay with that.
What's your preference, Annalise?
10 o'clock is fine. And just to let Luke know, because Anne is Anne and I'm go by Anne, we're going with my full name, which is Annalise. So you know who she's referring to.
I love that, Annalise.
Yeah.
Isn't it pretty, eh? I do too. I'm going to be in BC, but I'm fine for 10 o'clock on September the 2nd.
Apologies. I'm just now recognizing that both Cassie and I have a conflict at 10 a.m. So I apologize. Okay. I'm going to throw a wrench into this. Do you mind if we would reschedule for 1 o'clock? Would that work?
Works for me. How about you? Yeah?
Yes. Yeah.
Luke, okay?
Perfect. Yeah, that will be my evening. I will be in Africa, so we'll be fine.
You will be in Africa, so that will be fine. Okay. I thought I was going to be exotic and go to Ucluelet and Tofino in BC, but so September the 2nd, 1 o'clock Eastern.
So we'll have 3 different time zones in this meeting.
Yes, we will. Well. Okay. Brittany, anything else you want to bring to our attention?
Not at this time, thank you.
We didn't, just to comment to others, we never received any delegations or comments from ratepayers last time, although they will always have an opportunity to petition us if they see fit. And these meetings are available to them. Remind me. Yes, they are. As long as they well, nowadays, of course, they would have to pre-approve to get the invitation. Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. And I also wanted to note that since our former hosting of this committee, we now live stream all of our meetings as well. So I'm hopeful that that may invite more public participation in this committee.
Okay. What does live stream mean as far as participation? Do you get much on the meetings, the other meetings you have?
Yes, so just speaking through my personal experience, since we've commenced live streaming, we've seen an immense uptick in public participation. We've had the most delegations I think we've ever had at Council and Committee of the Whole. So it is proving a worthwhile investment for the township, absolutely.
Does the township anticipate they will maintain this, whether or not council meetings will be open to public attendance?
That's correct, yes. So our live streaming will be facilitated whenever or if ever we return to completely in-person council meetings. And another thing for this committee's information, the electronic participation portion that we've seen integrated into the kind of council realm throughout this COVID-19 pandemic, I believe is here to stay. So that may be another piece of the puzzle to invite new and excited members to our council and entice different generations or, you know, seasonal residents to come and sit on council as they can do so from the comfort of their homes.
Interesting. Interesting. Very good. All right. A bit of a round table. Anything further from you, Annalise, at this time?
I don't think so, other than I just heard a little bit about you earlier, Anne, that you worked in the university sector, and I wonder if we should introduce ourselves to each other. If we're going to be working fairly closely, it might not be a bad idea to get to know each other a little bit.
And I apologize for not doing that at the beginning. I should have had that. I thought about it and I should have just written it in on the agenda. So I'll start and then we'll go around the table. I'm a retired business executive after many years in the financial world and actually in the mining and mineral exploration world in particular. Moved up from Caledon 7 years ago into Shallow Lake, actually, in the township. I am currently vice chair of Lakehead University in Thunder Bay and Orillia. I've been with Lakehead University on their board I'm in my 10th year now. As prior vice chair of the Royal Ontario Museum, and I do quite a bit of work in not-for-profits within the gray area now. I'm vice chair of the Sable Family Health Unit and working as it and 22 other partners work towards forming an Ontario Health Unit. And other than that, I enjoy being part of the municipality and doing some work that contributes to its well-being. So I'll pass it on to you then, Annalise.
Sure, thank you. So I've been retired for a while. And when I wasn't retired, I worked in the nonprofit sector, pretty much always in children's mental health or violence against women services, in a management function, as well as clinical. I've lived in what was formerly Keppel Township actually since 1975, so I'm kind of an old timer here. I also have a dog that can sometimes disrupt meetings as well as cats. I like to do a lot of kind of artistic endeavors. So that's a bit of my background.
Thank you.
Luke.
Yeah, Luke has a big background noise, maybe. I own a small consultancy company, and it's interesting to hear your background, Anne. I work a lot with mining companies, with energy companies, and with agroforestry companies on their social performance issues. So anything from human rights, impact assessments, and anything related with company community relations and company community conflict. Live in Big Bay, and and we're also part of this climate action joint committee with the two council joint committee on climate action.
Very good. Brittany, tell us a little bit about yourself, please.
Oh, thank you. So by this point, many of you know me. I am Brittany Drew. I am the clerk of the township. I have been with the township for about 5 years. Formerly to my appointment at the township, I spent quite a while with the city of Brampton in various roles in student placements, contract placements, etc. And in 2016, my partner and I moved to Collingwood, which then introduced me to the township of Georgian Bluffs. And I've been happily appointed there ever since. And that's me.
Thank you so very much, everyone. So by consensus then, unless there is any dissension to that, I will declare that the meeting is adjourned and look forward to seeing you all again on September the 2nd. I understand that this hot weather is going to continue for us, so hopefully you can enjoy it. It will be too soon that we'll see some leaves turning, so take care, everyone. Luke, travel safe, and we'll look forward to talking again soon. Okay.